guys? It's a cold winter day out here. Only one here, only one up this river. We're gonna see what happens. Fishing's been really good. Let's check it out. Yes, that is a fat little bass right there. Starting to get some. Yeah. Oh, that is awesome. That is awesome. Sweet. There we go. Another one. Not bad, not bad. Oh, another big one. Another big one. Oh yeah, that is a hammer right there. It's another hammer. That is awesome. Look at that. Hey guys, AO here. I really hope you've enjoyed the video so far. As some of y'all have requested, I'm going to go into the details of how I like to catch fish on Finesse Jigs. And I'm going to talk about the equipment, and I'm going to talk about how do you build a pattern when you go out on a lake. Now, I want y'all to take this with a grain of salt, because I'm certainly not the best fisherman in the world, and there are other people out there who are way more qualified than me to talk about finesse jigs and how to catch fish on finesse jigs. But I've spent a lot of time throwing them over the last year or so, and they have been one of my confidence baits. I do things that I think a lot of people do, but I also do one or two things that not everybody does, or at least I don't see a lot of people doing it. So first, the jigs themselves. Finesse jig for me, it is a jig that doesn't have a full skirt. It's got that popped collar right around the jig head, as you can see. The weight, it's going to depend. I use very light jigs, 1/8 ounce, 3/16 of an ounce, but I might go up as heavy as a 1/2 ounce. The thing for me is how deep is the water and how heavy is the wind, and I will go with whatever is the lightest jig that I can get away with. Just to give you an example, a 3/8 ounce jig, I may fish a jig that light in 25, 30, 35 feet of water. So that's the jig itself. In terms of trailers, there's really kind of a sliding scale approach that I use. The water is really cold and the fish are very inactive. I'll go with the beaver style. It's got the flat appendages. It's not going to have a lot of movement. It's going to be very subtle, very low key. Sometimes that's what the fish want, and you just got to take it real easy and just drag that jig as slowly as possible. Now, as the water warms up, you have a little warming spell, you start to move into spring, you can throw a double tail grub, and here's one right here. And that is going to, what I would call, just lightly flutter as that jig falls down the water or as you pop it along the bottom. And as those fish get even more active or the water gets warmer is when I really start to use trailers that have a lot of bulk on the end of their appendages, like this guy, and those are going to really wag and move a lot more, and you just got to let the fish tell you what they want on any particular day. Colors, green pumpkin, black and blue, PB&J, go with what you're confident in. That's all I can say. I'm a big match the hatch guy, so I mainly throw some sort of a green pumpkin shade because the crawfish is what, because the crawfish are mainly green pumpkin in the lake that I'm fishing. You guys have asked for the lake. It's Lake Travis. It's a deep rocky impoundment. It's going to be the site of the first FLW event here in 2017, and I like it. It's a cool lake. Now, in terms of the retrieve, let's talk about retrieve. A lot of people, when they are fishing a jig, they've got that rod high, and that's fine, and I do that too. But how does a crawfish move? How does it move? Well, it kind of crawls around, but if it's scared, it scoots. And as you saw from some of my footage, I would keep that rod tip low when I would pop it and scoot that jig. And by having the rod tip low, it's more of a pull than a lift. And so that jig, when it scoots, it stays closer to the bottom, and in my opinion, is more realistic. And that's something that I do that I don't see a lot of other people doing. Pop, 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 kill it, drag it, pop, pop, pop. But keep that rod tip low, because if you pop it, what you're going to do is you're going to pop it up, and that's not as natural. So keep that in mind. All right, now let's talk about the rod. 7-foot rod is what I like. It's nice and light, it's not too long, I can kind of whip it around. I like a medium heavy rod. I like a moderately fast tip. I think it lets me get away with having those fish eat the jig. I can feel them a little bit more and make sure they've got it before I set the hook. The reel, this is a Shimano Metanium 8-to-1. Love that super fast gear ratio. And this is just a great reel because as I get to lay downs or docks, I can just kind of roll cast and flip and pitch. It's engineered in such a way that I can still make those really long casts. Some of those smaller reels, like 51 size reels, the spool is so light you can't make as long a cast as you would with a slightly larger reel, but this is kind of the best of both worlds. It's really like 2 reels in one. So I would pay attention to that. I throw Finesse Jigs 10 to 12 pound fluorocarbon in the winter. And now let's talk about building a pattern. And how do you build a pattern when you're trying to catch fish on a jig in the winter? The first thing that I would look at is the slope of the bank, and tied into that with the slope of the bank is how close are you to the river channel? Because in my opinion, in winter, the fish for the most part are going to either be way out in deep water, or depending on the day, they're going to be moving up into kind of those more gradual, flatter areas of the lake. I hope you can see this. And what I've got here is a map of Lake Travis, and I want you to take a look at what I'm talking about. So here's the river channel, swings in close to the bank, and then kind of pulls away. And what I want you to focus on is, are the fish out here in the real deep river channel areas, or have they moved into the shallower areas and they're up on the flats? And once you kind of figure out where they're relating to in terms of the river channel, you know, are they right there at the transition? Have they moved shallow? Are they out on the bluff wall part? What you can then do is say, okay, you know, for example, they're right here, they're right there on the transition, they're there, you'll probably catch fish there, you know, coming over here, you'll catch fish there, right in that area. And that's, you can just create a total milk run, keep going all over the lake. Different areas are going to have different rocks and those sorts of things, but that should hopefully help you guys out. Now the other thing that you need to find is the right size rocks. You don't want really small rocks. I like kind of more boulderish rocks, mainly because I think that there's more crawfish in those areas. There are more cracks and crevices for crawfish to hide. I do like a little bit of variety. I mean, you don't want just one gigantic boulder. You want, you know, kind of a variety of different size rocks, from maybe grapefruit or softball size up to basketball size. If you can find those types of areas, those seem to be key. I hope this information has helped you and that you have enjoyed the video. I've got a tournament next week, and I should be strapping on the GoPro and just seeing how it plays out and giving y'all a recap from that. I tell you that I have pretty modest expectations for next week. I'm not on fish. I think I'm just going to go fishing, but I hope you've enjoyed this footage, and I will see you next week. Thanks. Have a great day.